Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. With 3,500 games under our belt and counting, we must be doing something right. Join me in the beginning of December 1982. And we were last reading electronic fun with computers and games, because that's kind of what we do on the show. Let's see what our next game is. All right, another kind of obscure console. This is the Arcadia 2001. Let's check out The End. I believe first released in Japan, but all of the artwork and everything I have is going to be either from Europe or North America, because finding information on this system, ooh, that's a tricky one. Here's the box for The End. We've already seen this one, originally released in the arcades in November 1980. This is the very first port of the arcade game The End. Not doing something exactly like Galaxian or exactly like Space Invaders. They were trying something a little different. And we saw lots of arcade games in the 1980 that did this. The front of this box, I really can barely tell what it is because the scan's not so good. Oh, look what they put in the bottom right. A licensed arcade game because it's from the arcade. Not like licensed from another property or anything. Oh, no way. This one is only from Japan? Is that why I only saw everything from a Japanese standpoint? So these are boxes made from screen scrapers, so they're not real boxes. They're reconstructed ones. Like you can see the back isn't even a real explanation of it. But they are getting some information. This front cover is a scan, but you can see how poorly the scan is. It is rough to find everything about every video game out there. So besides the box, we also have the system. At least in North America, it was released as the Arcadia 2001. Here in Japan, this would be the Bandai Arcadia. And there's the cartridge, or a fabrication of the cartridge with the example of the screenshot. Let's check out the manual for The End. Now, yes, The End never got a US release, but I know it was released in Europe because now we're able to have this manual. Or someone did the liberty of translating it for us. The object of the game is space bandits are trying to steal the bricks from your defense base. If you do not destroy them, they will spell your end. If they spell END, the game's all over. They can be destroyed by a missile shot from your rocket. Your rocket can hide behind the bricks and occasionally slide over and fire at the bandits by shooting your rocket through the space between the brick piles. Kind of like Space Invaders, just a little bit. You can eject your rocket into space and meet the bandits head on. But be careful you don't collide with them because it can be the end of your rocket. You have 8 space bandits that can appear at one time. For each bandit you destroy, you get 20 points. And if you destroy a brick-carrying bandit, you get 40 points. Which means if you let them carry the bricks, you get more points for it. Because everyone wants points right now. Oh, there we go. I see in the chat they're bringing up the other systems that this is known by. Yeah, Hanamex, Tunix. Yeah, there's a lot. And this one, Bandai. They're going to be up to something sooner or later. Occasionally the words Chance Time will appear at the top of the screen. And Mothership will appear on the left side. Shooting the Mothership during this chance time will award you 200 points. We need chance time. Game's over when all 4 rockets have been destroyed, or the end is spelled. And then it has some rules of the game and how to start the game. Look at that, the overlay. At least for this version of the system, you can see they're sliding it over the top. You really don't need the overlay, though, because all the controls in your fire are going to be on the sides. So yeah, there's not a whole lot that it does. And we've seen a few other numpad overlays that are doing that. It's almost like we're beginning to see the end of the consoles with the number pad, which it's kind of bittersweet because we've been seeing that since the 70s. All these systems that have a number pad as part of the controller, they're starting to go away, or at least the point of having the number pad is going away. This is a one-player game only. You can't have a friend to play. It's only one game mode, and then it has a high score table. They have a demonstration mode. It explains how to use the controllers. You do have freedom of movement with a joystick going all around, and then the button on the side for attack. You can also pause the game. And it says, oh no, the telephone's ringing in the middle of the game. Don't worry, The End has the unique feature of pressing freeze on the other hand controller. So you can use pause. It's a big deal. We've been seeing advertisements for this for so long. Pausing a video game or pausing the arcade action is huge. And look down at the bottom. It says it's a 2 or more player game because the high score is saved, sort of. And so you and your friends can take turns, but it's not real like an arcade style hot seat multiplayer. It is only a 1-player game. I guess you could take as many turns as you want, with as many people as you want. All right, let's pop in The End and check it out. This is by Konami. UA Limited ported it at the beginning of December 1982. This marks the 29th game that we've seen on this console, Emerson Arcadia 2001, or whatever name it is in all the other regions. It's the 26th time we've seen UA Limited doing lots of the porting for this system. But Konami is here, the 36th time we've seen a video game with Konami here on Chronologically Gaming. We've seen 18 games that they've done in the arcade, 3 on the NEC PC 6001, 1 game on the Atari home computer and the Apple II, 2 games that they were a part of on the Intex Adventure Vision, 1 game on the Video Pack, 3 on the Puta, 1 on the Sword M5, and this is Konami's 3rd game that they've done on the Arcadia 2001. And when I say they've done it, I just mean they've licensed the right for them to do stuff on it. Astro Invader was 1, Turtles or Turpin, and this is their 3rd. All right, so let's just go in. There's really no game modes. There's no game options or variations. It's just push start on the system and go. And the first thing that will happen when you play this game is nothing happens on the controller. The left joystick does nothing. This is the one you can use to pause, remember? This is one of those games that the right joystick, which usually you think is for second player, is the one you control. So now I plugged in my second joystick, and now, or I moved the port, to the other side, and now I can move around and play. You have free movement to move your ship around. If you want to brave it, you can go all the way up to halfway of the screen, which is kind of nice. And then you have a shot to fire off, and you can see all of the aliens are taking bricks down at the bottom, and they're very slowly spelling the end. So it's very similar to the arcade. The arcade was doing this, but the way this is presented is so poor. Sound-wise, too, is not as high quality as what we saw in the arcades. I went back and saw my review when we played this in the arcades in 1980, and it was refreshing. It was good. It was something different, not exactly like all the other shooters, because we saw so much Space Invaders and so much Galaxian games. And so this one was cool in the arcade, but now it's not really as warm of a welcome here on a home console. I wonder if they thought this would sell a lot of systems, because it's okay, but it's just not as polished. It doesn't feel like we're like you can see the movement of the ship is okay. The way you fire your shot, though, it's not as smooth. I do have a turbo fire, though, so if I just hold down the action button, look, it just continues to fire. Oh, there we go. I was looking for chance time. So in one regard, I can say it is being faithful to the arcade, very similar to what you would have played in the arcade with the premise, but how it's executed here on a home console, it's not as fun. I will also say the arcade version was very difficult. It felt like no matter what was going to happen, you would reach the end. Here, I feel like I kind of have a fighting chance. I didn't start off so well because I was showing you that the other joystick is the one that controls the action. In a way, it reminds me of the old school consoles. We had a lot of early consoles that did this, where when you started the game, you thought the left controller was the one that would start the play, but it was actually the right controller that took over and you had to play that way. That trope is going to haunt us in video gamedom all the way through the life of the Commodore 64, because I'm sure everyone that has a Commodore 64 knows there's so many games that switch which is the action port of, or who's going to be the first player for the game. It's going to keep happening, and it's still happening here on the Arcadia 2001. Oh, we got to hit reset. There it is. I want to see if we get to a chance time, though. So if you look at the top of the screen, it appears like we're going to play with 2 people, but all it has is on the left side is your current score. Oh, we get chance time. Go, go, go. Wait, where'd it go? That's the fastest. Did I already shoot it during chance time? So the top of the screen shows your current score and then just whatever the high score is on the right side. That's why I was saying you could play with friends, but not executed as well. We've seen play modes that treat it like an actual arcade game. It starts with track mode, and then whenever you play, it has 2 people to play. And what I mean by 2 people is 2 controllers will work, taking turns. Hot seat arcade action. I also feel like this might be emulation glitch, but I've also played this on Win Arcadia. This is a fork that I'm playing with here, but on the true, assumingly the best emulator to play it on, it still responds and acts kind of the same way. Plus the sound. We've heard some very deafening sounds here on the Arcadia 2001, and this one's no exception. All right, so it is a fixed shooter, as we would describe on Chronologically Gaming. This is the 407th fixed shooter that we played on all systems since the beginning of time. It is the 51st fixed shooter that we've seen on a home console up to this point, and this is the 6th fixed shooter that we've seen on the Arcadia 2001. This console already has 6 games that play kind of like this: Astro Invader, Space Vultures, Alien Invaders, which was renamed after Galaxian, and Space Attack. All those have an idea of a game that they're based on, but the end kind of did its own thing. It was its own unique, let's have the aliens build the bricks. At least I didn't die by the end. That's how I kept doing it in the arcade, because those aliens were so fast in the arcade. So moving to the ship is okay, but the way that this fires off and the presentation of the game, not having as many alternate game modes, I'm still considering it fairly average for all the games you could play on home consoles at the time. And it is admirable because this is a cartridge that is 4 kilobytes in size, 4 kilopower, which is what majority of the games starting off the life on the Atari 2600 were, after they were utilizing bank switching. Go, go, go. See, I'm doing really good. So the console isn't giving as much of a challenge, especially since it has the turbo fire going for it. It's pretty good. Oh, yeah. And Marshall's bringing up the VIC-20. I feel that, too. It does kind of feel like a VIC-20 game. So, of all the games you could play across all home consoles right now, I will not give The End a bad rating. It is not bad when you think of all the games you could be playing on all home consoles, because it's obviously nothing broken about the game either, so I wouldn't even go that low. But I'd still say fairly average for everything you could play on all systems. Because of something feels off, or there's not many play modes, I don't want to give it a 3-star rating. I want to go just slightly lower and say 2.5 stars for everything up to this point. Charlie's thrown out 3.5 stars. Jeremiah, Marshall, and Punk Rock all saying 3. Still fairly average for all the games you could play on all the home consoles right now. All right, after that, let's put the other controller away and actually play on the left controller. Let's see what our next game is. Our next video game takes us to the Atari 2600, still making lots and lots of games. This is Entombed, the brand new game on your Atari 2600. Here's the box for Entombed. This one is only on the Atari 2600, the 188th video game on the Atari VCS. And another one by US Games. We just saw another game by them. They're trying to get all these games out before the holiday season. I've only seen 1 or 2 references that say it's 1983 for this game, but there's magazine articles that show 1983, or 1982, so we're going 1982 for this one. US Games has brought us really good titles like Space Jockey and Commando Raid. This one was done by Western Technologies, Jeff Corsiglia and Tom Sloper. Way to go, Jeff and Tom. This is, front of the box is very simplistic. I mean, it's very cartoonish. I don't see it selling a bunch of games, but if it's an adventure-style game, it looks like we're going to be exploring tombs. That's always fun. Let's flip it over the back. Entombed is a 1 or 2 player full-color game designed to be played on the Atari VCS and Sears Video Arcade. If you owned a Sears, you were a real nerd right now. Explore alone, or 2 archaeologists can work together to compete in a frenzied trek through the catacombs. That's what's selling the game. Multiplayer. Here's the other artwork we have for Entombed. We have the original scan and then a reconstructed make it look pretty box. Both kinds. Besides the box, there's the Atari VCS, if you forgot, because the Atari 5200 is new right now. Their second system. Here's the cartridge we will pop into play, some Entombed. Only 2 game variations. At this point, why do you put 2 game variations on the cartridge? It's because they're following the same trope as the games from 1977. They put a number of game variations to show you're getting more game for your buck. But you only have 2 game variations, I wouldn't put it on the cartridge. And then there's an example of the screenshot. All right, show us how to play Entombed. Here's the manual. Yeah, 1 player and 2 player, Punk Rock. That is what makes this big. All right, so this team that developed this game also did the game Towering Inferno, which was pretty good for a game on a home console right now. Here's how you play some Entombed. You and your team of archaeologists have fallen into the catacombs of the zombies. Zombies, that's pretty cool. There's no time to look around. Wait a second, if it's a tomb, like in Egypt, Wouldn't it be just mummies? Because then we go into the whole story of what's a zombie compared to a mummy. Isn't a mummy pretty much just a zombie? Anyway, that's a big conversation. There's no time to look around. These guys are after you, and they mean business. Your only salvation is you have to discover the secret to the make-break. Grab them, and you can break through walls when you get stuck, or create a wall behind you if you're being chased. The longer you survive, the faster you have to work. Explore alone, or two archaeologists can work together or compete in a frenzied trek through the catacombs. The screenshot shows us what things are: archaeologists, the zombie, the break bricks. Does it show? Oh, yeah, there you go. The little sliver of brick that moves left and right. There's our setup instructions. If we flip the difficulty switch from A to B, it's just how many break bricks you get when you touch them. You can do 2 or 3. I'm going to keep it on default position B. I think that's what I left it on when I was last playing. So the game variations are just if you're doing 1 player or 2 player. Really, really simple. They explain the scoring right here above my head, and then playing hints. We need those playing hints, unless we get them from the magazines, because we've been reading magazines here on Chronologically Gaming. Yes, Jeremiah, I like Tarot. I was surprised by Towering Inferno too. I say it beats out Magic's Firefighter. It's pretty good. Yeah, same thing, right? All right, so the hints are really nice as well. I'll let you read them and peruse if you want. For the 2-player game, they say that it can be competitive or cooperative, but essentially this just means you can decide that. Now, on our show, whenever we catalog these games, multiplayer video games means that you're playing at the same time. If it's a cooperative multiplayer video game, that means it's a video game where you're playing together on the same screen, working toward a goal together. If it's a competitive multiplayer game, you're playing at the same time, but you're working against each other. This style of game, whenever you play 2 people, if someone dies, you don't keep going. So you are not in true competition with the other player. But competitive or cooperative multiplayer games, you can be a jerk when you're playing with someone else and do other things, but essentially this is still a cooperative multiplayer video game. Getting to play with a friend. Let's pop in and see what Entombed is all about. US Games, released in the beginning of December 1982. Show us how to play. Now, if I do it, I'm going to start with a 2-player game just so you can kind of see how it works, and because I have a second joystick plugged in. Ready, set, hit it. So the screen has on the left and the right, both players can move around simultaneously. This is awesome. Just to be able to move at the same time. Now, if someone were to die, or if someone were to go to the top of the screen, the game resets because you both have to be doing this together. In the same sense, if one of the players dies from the zombie, then you have to start over. Because if you notice, there really isn't like a score being displayed on the screen. It's to see how far you can go, how many levels you can play. So it is cooperative. You have to work together. Okay, just wanted to show that it is more fun when you have someone else you can play with. Now let's actually get into the game itself. Let's do a 1-player game and go. So movement on my little guy is 4 directions only. I have no diagonal movement. And the maze that is coming up is completely random. It is generating it's progressively generating as we go. If you look down at the bottom, I have the number 1, which means I have 1 make break that I can use. Oh, and I better use it now so I can get out of this. So I used it, and I cannot go. I gotta wait for another make break. Oh, I missed that one. Every time I did a playtest, it was completely different than it was before. Apparently, people have been trying to figure out the algorithm for this one. Oh, wait, hold on. Can I get to that one over there? I need some more make breaks. Any day now. It looks like no, I can't get it. But if I don't get any more, then I'll have to end the game. If you do reach a certain point, if you go far enough, then you move to the next level. Okay, we picked one up, so because I have the difficulty switch set to A, or was it B, I get 3 make breaks. So right now, I can make a new wall or destroy a new wall. And we made it far enough, so we're on the next level. Let's see if we can trap one in here. Let's trap this zombie up there. No, it looks okay. All right, let's break through this one. Grab another one. So very, very cool. Not the first time we've seen this on Chronologically Gaming. This has been done much more prevalent with home computer releases where you're able to redesign the maze while you're playing it. It's really all thanks to Pac-Man. Everyone wants to do something bigger and better than Pac-Man or a arcade maze game. That's essentially what this is. This is the 328th arcade maze game that we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming. And that's on all systems. This is the 49th arcade maze game that we've seen on home consoles so far. And the 13th that we've seen on the Atari 2600. Now you can see the speed is really picking up now. I gotta break through some of these walls to get through. Keep making my way down, avoiding zombies. Looks like I'm not gonna go for that one, but just survive. It's really not the zombies that'll kill you. It's the movement of the maze. And playing this with two people, you can imagine if you're playing with a younger brother or sister who doesn't get the game, you will not be able to finish because you both have to work together. Oh my gosh. I've never seen it go this fast before. Oh, it didn't break the wall when I was using it. Let's try it again. Quickly, quickly. Don't let the zombies get us. This is going almost as fast as I can go. Go faster. I'm gonna need more make breaks. Whoa, and it's still going. This is intense. I'm gonna need some random blocks to show up. There's one, get it. Go, go, go. So cool. It's still going. How many levels? Uh-oh, and then the zombie got me that time. Man. So what makes this special is it's not just an arcade maze game like Pac-Man on one screen. It is a scrolling arcade maze game. That's what's special. At this point, we've played about 29 arcade maze games that have scrolling, whether it's auto-scrolling like this one or scrolling on its own, you can scroll the game. And some of the best ones that come to mind is games like Rally X. Auto Chase on the Creative Vision was scrolling. Mines of Minos on the Atari 2600 scrolled. Radar Rat Race on the Commodore VIC-20 was also scrolling. Tax Dodge on the Atari home computer really comes to mind, but that one you could scroll itself. We also played Babel Terror and Morgoth on the TRS-80 that were scrolling top-down maze games. Snipes is a really good one for MS-DOS. Same concept. Let's take the maze, arcade maze, and make it scroll around. And then Speedway Blast on the Atari home computer is also another really good one. In the arcade, we've seen games like Armored Car, Tutankhamun, and Triple Punch as well. And for a game that is auto-scrolling like this, so it's even more rare to play a game like this. We played Tron. Mazatron had that mode where it was a top-down maze game and it was auto-scrolling. But one game that really comes close to this, and I would say you could tell me which one was released first, was Digger Bonk on the Atari home computer. This is very close to Digger Bonk. So if you're a fan of Entombed, check that one out. Let's break through, get some more. Very cool and more fun with a friend, obviously. So no one's been able to figure out the game's maze-generating algorithm because the original coder says that he got it from a programmer who wrote it while he was drunk. And because he wrote it while he was drunk, he doesn't remember. So no one's ever going to figure out the algorithm for how this game is random. I find that very fascinating, whether it's true or not. It's just awesome video game lore. So the size of this cartridge is the same size as what we just played on the Arcadia 2001. It's 4 kilopower for Entombed. How they squeezed all that into the cartridge is awesome. All right, so this one is pretty good. For all the games you could play on home computers, it's, I would say, at least above average because of the fact of the randomness to this and because an auto-scrolling top-down arcade maze game is very rare in itself. So 3.5 stars is easy for me. Looking over in the chat, I see James throwing out 3.5 stars as well. Yeah, and I like that idea too, Marshall, where if you play a good game and you get good enough at it, you start getting into this flow. Yeah, Jeremiah and Marshall are also saying 3.5 stars. Yeah, I'm thinking that too. I almost said 4 if you play because it has the 2-player mode, but 3.5 stars is good enough for me. Above average for all the games you could play across all home consoles right now. Way well done, Entombed. All right, after that, let's see what our next game is. Next, it's time to go to the United Kingdom and play on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is Escape. Just Escape. Not to be confused with Escape that was on the Apple II by Muse Software, or Escape on the TRS-80, or Escape on the Apple II by Educational Software Packages, or it's not Escape on the Arcadia 2001, or it's not Escape that we played as a handheld by VTech. This is also not the same Escape that was on the Coco and Dragon 32, and it's not the same Escape on the VIC-20 by Newfcop. Everyone, please stop making video games called Just Escape. There's too many of them. This is Escape by New Generation Software, our 151st game that we've seen on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. So everybody place your bets right now. By the end of the year, the 1982, the year the ZX Spectrum was released, how many video games do you think we're going to play? I wasn't expecting 151 video games for a brand new computer, but everyone at this point knows how many games are going to be on the ZX Spectrum. There's a lot of games out there. This one is the third time we've seen anything by New Generation Software and Malcolm E. Evans. He did the game 3D Defender and 3D Monster Maze. So I'm really excited for this one. 3D Monster Maze was one of the first games we played in 1982, and this one might be something amazing, at least when I look at this company. I mean, look at the top left. There's the monster from 3D Monster Maze. Everyone loves it, so you would want to check it out too. And dinosaurs. Everyone loves dinosaurs. I bet it was a high school student that did that. When we flip it over, you can see it's just a cassette tape. What? Video games on cassette? That's right. In December 1982, that's how you played computer games. Here's one of the ads you would have seen in magazines at the time. It shows, there you go, 3D Monster Maze and 3D Defender. The other games, I don't know why I mentioned them, because it's right here. Can you find the axe to break down the exit door of the maze and escape? The maze is inhabited by 5 hunting dinosaurs, including a Triceratops, who hides behind hedges, a Pteranodon that soars over the maze to swoop down on you, and it has what looks like another high school drawing. Now, there's the cassette tape that we're going to be playing on our ZX Spectrum. You only need 16K. That's pretty nice. And here we go. This is the first box. So if you thought the box I was showing was the high school drawing box, this is the true high school drawing box. This is real. Someone got scans for that. That's too funny. And there's the example of the screenshot. Yes, and the Scream is part of the artwork, at least the original one. The manual I have is just a homebrew manual from the inside sleeve someone typed up for us. It's what we already read. Loading instructions and playing instructions. Strategy is when you're holding the axe, you run twice as slow, and the dinosaurs and the Pteranodon will kill you basically. But you can drop it, but make sure you remember where you left the axe. Everybody remember. So this one has lots of different versions and alternate versions. There's a re-release by Rico Data. This is the first time you could play Escape by New Generation Software. Let's check it out and see what Malcolm E. Evans has for us. Released in the beginning of December 1982. Maybe even a little earlier than that. I mean, who's going to pin down exact release dates for the ZX Spectrum? Once upon a time, in a distant valley, cut off from civilization as we know it, there was a maze. Explorers had ventured into its depths, but none had returned to tell what lay within its walls. This is very hard to read, by the way, green on white. Now you can venture to this distant land and taste its excitement, but don't be too confident that you will return. So you put your difficulty in here. I'm going to start with difficulty 1 so you can see what it's like. Ready? I push number 1. You can see the dinosaurs start moving around the text, which is kind of cool presentation there. I like that. As we go in the game, this is keyboard controlled only. Everybody look at your ZX Spectrum keyboard, that spongy chiclet keyboard. You have the cursor keys 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that's how we're moving. The arrow keys is how I move my little stick guy around the maze. So easy enough controls, just move around. Don't get captured by the dinosaur. Very, very simple concept. The way that this is designed, though, is a little different. It is not a straight-up top-down maze game. I mean, it's pretty close, but it has a pseudo 3D effect to it. And the way that this is designed is something new and fresh. We haven't seen someone design a maze quite like this. All right, so if you look at the screen, it's flashing pretty fast, but notice that it says there is an axe in this spot. So the exit's in the top left where that blue door is. You essentially wander around this maze. This is another randomly generated game, by the way. We're playing randomly generated games tonight. And whenever you find the random location in this random maze of where the axe is, and you pick up the axe, you start slowing down. So what I'm going to try to do is lure the dinosaur away, because this speed that I have now without the axe, I move pretty quick. I move at a pretty brisk pace. But we need to get in and get the axe. There it is. I now have the axe, and watch how slow I go. Oh gosh. I'm going to drop it. Let me see. Oh, I think I can make it. Go, go, go! You have to make Pinpoint turns. Just don't catch me, dinosaur. Quick. And then you made it. There you go. Congratulations. You escaped in 91 seconds. You're eligible to enter the Escape Hall of Fame. So I can type in initials. I'm guessing that's CHR, right? And it saves it to a high score table. Very nice. Oh, what's the date? You can put the date in. We're playing in, 8 characters. So can we do December 1982? It does, look. I've never seen a high score table let us put the date in. That's pretty nice. Do you want to save it to the Hall of Fame for posterity? And I think that means, whoa, I need to mark this down. This means we can save this game to cassette, I bet. Let's say yes. Remember, it's saved in 2 parts. Yep, there we go. You can save this back to the tape. What? That's awesome. Yes, Charlie, that was the essential part of the game right there. Okay, I need to mark this down. This is pretty cool. We only saw a few other home computer games that allowed you to save the high score to cassette at this point. A lot of them are temporary. That's awesome. Let me show you a different game mode before we call it quits with Escape, because having multiple enemies on the screen makes it a completely different experience. Yeah, right, Charlie? That's a better thing than the game itself. It's pretty simple. I'm going to go with a 4 difficulty, so 4 out of 5. You see all the dinosaurs that are showing up. If you do a 5, all 5 dinosaurs come. So if I do a 4, we're going to have 4 dinosaurs that are on the screen to run away from. There they all are. So this changes everything, having to run away from all of them. And if you do a 5, that has the Pteranodon, which flies around the top. And that's an even completely different experience. So this one will have dinosaurs hiding from you, but like I explained before, everything's random with the generation of the maze, and where the axe is all random too. So good luck. You wander around for a little bit, find the axe, and make your way to the exit as fast as you can. Oh, man. Even though this is supposed to be like the land of the lost, it essentially is just a hedge maze. But this is one of the first times we played a video game where it actually looks like a hedge. I mean, unless you consider a game like Tranquilizer Gun that we saw in the arcade, that was kind of the idea too. It does kind of look like a elephant as well. All right, let me boot it up and go right into. I didn't want to die. Let's go in and show you what the scariest part of the game is, which is not nearly as scary as 3D Monster Maze, and that's the Pteranodon flying around. Ready to go? 5. All right, another arcade maze game, the 329th that we've seen on Chronologically Gaming, the 185th that we've seen on all home computers, and this is the 15th one we've seen on the ZX Spectrum so far. Watch out. Look at that. Yeah, and I'm already dead. That's how fast it goes. Do you want to play again? Sure. Give me 5 again. There it is. I'll die so fast. So on the ZX Spectrum, after 15 maze games, you may say it's not as impressive, but I actually think this is kind of cool. This is interesting because of how it's programmed. It isn't nearly as cool as 3D Monster Maze, I will give it that. We played a few other games that are top-down maze games, but they're not doing something we've seen before, and that's what this is doing. This is not like Pac-Man. This is kind of doing its own thing, and it's kind of rare to see a game doing that. We saw a game called The Attack on the Texas Instruments home computer. That was a maze game that was doing something new and different. Alcatraz 2 that we've seen on the Coco and Dragon 32 is the same thing. Bank Robber or Raid on Fort Knox on the VIC-20 is a top-down maze game that's not like the others. Mars Cars on the Apple II as well. Tax Dodge on the Atari home computer. Dung Beetles. Garden Wars that was on the Commodore VIC-20. Lemmings on the Apple II. Sea Key on the ZX Spectrum. Spectres on the ZX Spectrum. Bubble Trouble on the ZX Spectrum. And the best maze game, I would say, on the ZX Spectrum, Hungry Horse, is also out there that we've seen. So there is lots of options for you to have fun with maze games or arcade maze games. So I wouldn't be able to give this one a much higher rating because there's better maze games for home computers. There's also maze games with higher quality, but I give it props though for what it's doing. It's pretty nice. James is saying 2.5 stars. It's not that amazing. Aside from the high score, that was pretty good. Charlie's saying 2.5 as well. I actually like the way that this is presented and the way it plays. It is keyboard controlled only, but you'd find some enjoyment out of it. And yeah, the saving the high score actually is what's going to bump it up. I was going to say 2.5, but I'm going to go with 3 stars for all the games you could play across all home computers right now. That feature is pretty nice, and it deserves recognition. All right. And there, Brian's with me with a 3-star too. We are going to see this one later on the Commodore 64 because by law, every video game has to be ported to the Commodore 64. And that's where we got to put our video game playing on pause. Thanks again, everyone that's here joining me for the live show while we're here in December 1982. I have a big announcement. The show and when we do our live stream is now changing. We're going to be doing our live show every Tuesday nights only. And then during the week, I will be posting videos from the backlog or shorts onto YouTube. So expect every week to be content, but our live show is going to 1 time a week, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central every week. And that cadence is going to be longer than our usual half-hour show. So be ready for that change. I'll be doing lots of posts for it as well. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, we are going to the factory and doing a feasibility experiment on the Atari home computer. We also take a fantastic voyage, but this time it's on the Atari 2600. That's it for today, and like I always say, nothing can stop us now. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.